Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our seventh event of our new Amplify, Inspire, and Prepare series from Service to Classroom, empowering veterans to become teachers. This virtual event will focus on encouraging military veterans to transition into teaching. The session will highlight the rewarding impact they can have on future generations. Attendees will hear from veterans who have successfully made transitions into teaching and will explore how military skills such as leadership, discipline, and adaptability make them well suited for the classroom. And we will also have practitioners who have worked with military veterans extensively to facilitate their own journey into the classroom. I am Jeremy Davis, and I serve as a program manager here at Teach. I'm excited to be the moderator and host for today. Here's an overview of our time together today. We'll start with grounding and some room expectations. I'll share a little bit about Teach and what we do here. We'll introduce our speakers, followed by a panel discussion, and then we'll have some community questions and reflections, and then some reminders to close out. So I want to take a moment to ground us into this virtual space while also sharing some of our community expectations for our time together today. Please utilize the Zoom chat box to share questions, comments, and to build community. If you would like to enable closed captioning, click live transcript. If you have any questions, thoughts, reactions, or reflections throughout the webinar, please feel free to use the Zoom Q&A feature to share with us more. We will also provide a survey link at the end of the webinar, and this is an important tool for you to share feedback with us, to be more intentional about our offerings. And at the end of the survey, you will have an opportunity to enter into a random drawing for $200, so make sure you don't miss this opportunity. All attendees will also receive a post-event email with additional resources and a recording of the webinar. Our mission at Teach is to end the national teacher shortage. To deploy our model, we partner with state education departments, universities, and school districts in several states and metro areas, including Colorado, Connecticut, Dallas, Houston, Minnesota, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, San Antonio, and South Carolina to try to encourage as many people as possible to enter this profession through which they can find a profound impact in their local community. Our personalized support includes free one-on-one coaching and advising with current classroom educators who serve as licensure coaches, job opportunities and event listings, a teaching program search tool, direct financial aid assistance, customized application checklist, how-to guides from experts, and a financial aid search tool, support via video, chat, email, and so much more. So we'll now introduce our special guest panelists. We'll start in Colorado with Wendy. Wendy Gutierrez is the current learning architect at Sandy Hook Promise, where she leads the development of impactful educational materials that promote school safety and student well-being. She began her career in education as a reading interventionist and social studies teacher, serving in the classroom from 2018 to 2022. Her firsthand experience as an educator continues to shape her commitment to creating meaningful, inclusive, and transformative curricula. Wendy holds a master's degree in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis on critical pedagogy from the University of Colorado, Denver. Her academic and professional path reflect a deep commitment to educational equity and empowering teachers and students through thoughtful, research-based instructional design. Before her work in education, Wendy served on active duty in the Air Force as an intelligence analyst, where she developed a strong foundation in leadership, integrity, and collaboration. Her military experience continues to influence her work ethic and passion for service, fueling her drive to support communities and create lasting and positive change. Outside of her life, outside of her professional life, Wendy finds joy in being a mother to a toddler. She is driven by a belief in the transformative power of education and strives to ensure every child has access to a safe and supportive learning environment. Welcome, Wendy, and we're excited to have you with us today. Now we'll travel to Connecticut to meet Ashley. Ashley Wright is a dedicated education professional whose career began in 2014 with the Norwich Public School District as an instructional interventionist. Her professional journey includes experience teaching second grade and working as a reading specialist before advancing to the role of district reading specialist coordinator. Ashley's academic background includes a bachelor's degree in English and a master's degree in elementary education from Eastern Connecticut State University. She further expanded her expertise at Sacred Heart University, earning her administration certificate, reading specialist certification, reading consultant certification, and a 6-year certificate of advanced studies in literacy. Since September 2023, Ashley has served as an associate education consultant in the Bureau of Educator Effectiveness and Professional Learning within the Talent Office of the Connecticut State Department of Education. In this position, she contributes to various recruitment, retention, recognition, and induction initiatives, including specialized efforts to recruit veterans interested in pursuing careers in education. Ashley currently serves as the team program manager, a registered teacher apprenticeship program manager, the Milken Educator Award State Coordinator, and the Teach Program Coordinator. Driven by her passion for education, Ashley is committed to creating opportunities for both students and educators to reach their full potential. Welcome, Ashley, and we are equally as excited to have you here with us today. So, I'll guide us through our discussion with some planned questions for our panelists, and once that is wrapped, we'll open it up for attendee questions and reactions. For our live attendees, a quick reminder that you are welcome and encouraged to drop any questions, reactions, and/or reflections in the chat as we go. Shall we get started? I'll start with you, Wendy, and thank you again so much for being here with us. My first question is, many times veterans feel called to service, to serve their communities after military service. So what drew you to teaching, and how has it fulfilled that sense of service in a different way?
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me here today. I'm very excited to be here with you all. And I would say, like, I had a very different route than most people. Well, I wouldn't say very different route, but I just knew I was going to be a teacher. Like, literally, I graduated kindergarten and I walked across stage and they gave me the microphone and said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "Teacher." Right. So I think that has always been part of my life. Like, I have a lot of educators in my family as well. But the military service, like being in the Air Force, that was the avenue I had to take to make that dream a reality. And I'm like eager to talk to you all a little bit more about that path and how I got to teaching. Um, but I would just say, like, it's just been a passion of mine since I was 5.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Ashley, what do you see as the unique strengths that veterans bring to the classroom environment based on your experience, like working with them, recruiting them, and convincing them that this is the right pathway that they should pursue?
Thanks, Jeremy, and welcome everyone. Thank you all for having me. I'm honored to be here. You said, based on my experience with them, the first thing I'll say is what I notice most about veterans is that they are brave and they're not afraid to ask questions. And I think that serves as a really important piece to this transition. Veterans really bring strong leadership skills, adaptability, and truly a deep commitment to service. They know how to build structured, supportive classrooms, and they model values like respect and perseverance. Their global perspectives really and their experience enrich the lessons so deeply in ways that those who may not have served, don't bring to the table. They help their students connect beyond the classroom in such a magical way.
Yeah, and I can imagine that having those traits transform into lessons for students is certainly something that is positive and impactful for them as they, navigate their ways through the classroom and make an impact on students.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Wendy, were there specific moments or experiences from your military career that shaped how you led or connect with students?
I think one of the biggest things for me was learning how to lead with compassion, listen with empathy. I like from my own military experience, I learned that you come across maybe some leaders that are extremely supportive and some others that you may not see eye to eye with, right? And one of the biggest things like I kind of lean on are those leaders that I did have that made me feel like this is also a great and supportive place for you. And that is the same type of environment that I like to promote within my students in my classroom when I was in the classroom and now that I'm developing like curriculum and helping other educators, that is the same thing that I would like to promote within their classrooms.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ashley, anything that you want to add to that question that you've seen that that folks bring to their classrooms?
I think Wendy covered that beautifully.
So, Wendy, what feels like the most challenging part of transitioning from the military service to becoming a teacher, and what advice would you share about overcoming this challenge?
That's a great question. So, personally, I felt like one of the first things that was challenging was honestly the pay difference going from being in the military where I get BAH paid for, I get my housing paid for, I get my food paid for. I had my benefits, medical, everything was paid for. And then like getting into teaching in Colorado where educators at the time when I got into teaching were not getting paid very well in the state and you're just like how am I supposed to live in the city of Denver off of $30,000 a
Yeah.
year?
Yeah.
So, that was honestly one of the hardest parts about transitioning, I think, and something that we, as a veteran and in the military, like, I wish we would have had some more preparation. I think the military does do a good job trying to set you up for it, but, really consider the role that you're gonna get into. But there are other great programs out there to help support you and make that manageable, make that transition manageable.
Could you give a little background on what those programs like look like in practice?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I was in when I was serving, I was in contact with some recruiters with the Troops to Teacher. Now, I don't know if that's still a program. It might no longer be a program. I see you saying no, Ashley, but that was a wonderful program that I utilized in Colorado to set me up with interviews. And also, they just like gave me feedback on my resume. Now, I know that the Colorado Department of Education also has another program for recruitment of educators. So like that might be another avenue to explore, but they really just help set me up. So I'm hopeful that other states and will have a program similar to that.
For sure. Ashley, anything you want to add there that you see challenging as folks transition from military service to becoming teachers that you've seen in your journey with them?
Definitely. I think the most challenging component is knowing what questions to ask, because this transition is huge. And if you're not asking the right questions, you won't get the right answers, right? So I think making sure that you know you have an idea of which pathway you're interested in taking, and then identifying who you need to reach out to and kind of laying it all out there for them. If you're in a position where you don't know what questions to ask, know that there are resources available for you, which I'm happy to talk about in a little bit. I'd
Yeah.
also like to talk, just kind of touch upon the Troops to Teachers. Connecticut has established an alternative sort of resource for educators, or excuse me, for veterans transitioning, which I'll also talk about in a little bit.
Awesome. Well, actually, like, let's just transition to sharing about that. So, what is Connecticut doing specifically to support veterans in becoming educators, and how can interested veterans start their teaching journey in your state?
That's a great question. Thank you. So, since the Federal Troops to Teachers program has ended, the Connecticut State Department of Education has partnered with Teach to continue supporting veterans in an alternative way. We've designed a dedicated webpage that's going to be going live soon, and it's going to include information about the alternative pathways that are available to veterans, including certification updates, tuition support options, and a survey which for those of you that have engaged with Troops to Teachers will feel very familiar, because the information that we collect through that survey will help us connect directly with interested individuals and provide tailored guidance on next steps. We recognize that the leadership, discipline, and problem solving skills developed in the military service are highly valued in our schools, and we really want to help you leverage those. So it's possible that based on your experience, you might even be eligible to serve as a paraprofessional or a substitute teacher, which are two great entry points into the field. I would encourage veterans to check frequently the Teach website for updates to the new veterans page. And if you already have a specific educator preparation program in mind, consider connecting with their Veterans Liaison Office. They can offer specific guidance to your goals and experience. And then finally, for information about tuition assistance, because that is also a bucket where a lot of questions arise, you can visit the Connecticut Office of Higher Education website and explore the veteran education benefits that may be relevant to you. And if there is time at the end, I'd be happy to share my email address, the veteran specific one. And if anyone does have any questions, I'm always happy to have a conversation with you all.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing those resources. And it sounds like there are many things that the state of Connecticut is doing to support those teachers. But speaking of resources, Wendy, I want to kick it back to you. Can you share how the GI Bill and other military education benefits help to fund our teacher preparation journey? And what should veterans know about leveraging these resources that are available to them?
Yeah, so I actually started while I was serving in the military, using my tuition assistance to get my bachelor's degree. Didn't honestly, I still was like, I'm young, I'm still not too sure what I'm gonna do, but I got my bachelor's in social sciences, just something more general. And then once I got involved with Troop to Teachers, and I got some information on a teacher preparation program called Aspire to Teach, that is through CU Denver. It was it was a pretty good option for me. It was a way that I could get into the classroom and teach while I was working on this preparation program. So it was a year-long program. And the really cool thing, like, honestly, this program changed my life entirely. I'm not even joking, because it set me up with an educator who was actually a founding member of the school I taught at, and he taught social studies, and that's what I taught too. And so he ended up becoming my mentor throughout these years. It's someone that I've like leaned on, and so it has helped me quite a bit. And then I used my GI Bill for that, and then I also, because I did the Aspire to Teach program, they at CU Denver, they also have a master's program that I did. And so they were able to take and like accept a lot of my credits from the teacher preparation program and apply it to the master's. So I was able to get my master's in 1 year. through CU Denver in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in critical pedagogy. And again, use my GI Bill for that. And now I still have, I think, 3 years left of my GI Bill to use if I want to continue education or do some sort of certificate. And I love that benefit. It's something I hope we can all utilize. Um, and then also, I was going to say, if you are near a base or if you still have access to being on base for I don't. I live far from a base, but if you do, like, please take advantage of that because they do have a lot of classes within, um, like the education office for veterans and informative classes that I really tried my best to take as many classes as I could, like the last couple months before I transitioned out, just to get as much knowledge, and also take any of those like CLEPs that you can still take. Those will also help with, pursuing your education.
Great. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome advice there. And Ashley, do you have any experience, working with folks to navigate their GI Bill?
I don't yet, but I'd be happy to navigate that with someone if the time comes. We'll figure it out together.
We'll figure it out together. That's awesome. So this question is for both of you all. So, how did you find or help folks find the right education prep program or pathway for them, or for yourself? And what advice would you give to veterans exploring their options in this capacity? We can start with you, Ashley.
Sure. Um, So, unlike Wendy, I did not want to be a teacher at the time that I was 5 years old in kindergarten. I actually thought that I would be a physical therapist. So, I went to a community college. I got my associate's degree in exercise science. And in my last year there, I became very close with one of my advisors. And through conversations, she always said, you look like you'll be a great teacher. So, I was like, okay. And I got this part time job working after school and fell in love. So I would recommend to anyone interested if there's any way that you can get into a school, whether it's an after school club, subbing, serving as a para, just to see if it is for you. And then you might, like me, fall in love with it and continue to pursue other opportunities within the field. I'd recommend finding and talking to a program advisor and asking those, detailed questions about how they support career changers specifically. I'd look for programs with strong mentoring, with clear steps to certification, and those that have experience working specifically with veterans.
Yeah, awesome. And Wendy, anything to add on there about finding the right education prep program for you?
I agree with Ashley. Just ask those questions. I love asking questions, and like I said, with my experience with the teacher preparation program that I went through at Aspire to Teach, like I was walked through every step of the way, and I really think that that program really helped set me up to like the career that I'm today.
Yeah. So Wendy, the Colorado has many like rural and urban schools who are seeking diverse teachers. What opportunities have you seen for veterans to lead and make an impact in these schools?
So when I first initially started looking for positions, I went to job fairs. I went to every job fair I could find, like within a good like 100-mile range. Like I was really just traveling just to experience it. And one of them actually had like live interviews. Like you come to the job fair and you'll be interviewed right then and there. And that was actually where I did one of my interviews to be a sub. And I got my certification to be a sub. And that is, something Ashley just mentioned, like a great way to figure out like what area do I want to teach in? What subject do I want to teach? What grade level? Maybe I just don't want to teach after all, and I thought I did. It's a great way to give you exposure. And then I mentioned that CDE does have like that educator, recruiter, retention specialist program. Um, and I think that's about like really about it, like that I've already named with the troops to teacher. That was a big one. So it's unfortunate that that program is no longer existing.
I know. So teaching is often described as a mission in its own right. So how has your military training prepared you, Wendy, to lead in education, especially in diverse and underserved communities?
So drawing on like my military experience, I was deployed twice. Um, and I think that those deployments actually shaped me a lot into not just who I am today, but the educator that I am, because I saw things that impacted our world and impact different communities across the world. And it has impacted me in a way that I want to help restore hope and promote healing because of some of that damage that I've seen. And so taking that into the classroom of like, how can we promote healing in a transformative space away from violence. And I think that also impacts like my experience in the military has impacted big reason why I work now for Sandy Hook Promise because of the violence prevention aspect and wanting to work towards keeping children safe in schools and homes and in our communities. So I can see how it my experience both as a veteran and deploying has really impacted how I taught a class, but also like how I'm still working today in curriculum development.
Um, Ashley, like what advice would you give veterans who may feel unsure if teaching is right for them or if they have the right skills?
Jeremy, that's a really good question. I would encourage veterans to remember that many of the skills they already have, like leadership, advocacy, problem solving, teamwork, are exactly what schools need right now. If you're not sure, consider starting, like we said, as a substitute teacher or a paraprofessional to get a feel of the classroom. Talk to other veterans who have made that transition and don't hesitate to reach out for guidance. Know that you don't have to decide on this transition alone. There are resources and there are people ready to help you explore your options and decide if this transition is right for you.
So, same question for you, Wendy. What advice would you give veterans who may feel unsure about moving forward in a teaching pathway?
Try it out. It, you can just, it's 1 year staying with the students for 1 year. Um, and in that 1 year, those kids are going to change your life. Even if you decide to not stick with teaching afterwards. And that makes me emotional because it's true. They are going to change your life. And so I mentioned subbing. That's another great way to just kind of get a feel for it. But also it teaching is so vast. There's so many different components. And like Ashley, you did similar to like reading intervention, right? And so you could go that avenue, but maybe you're like, nah, like math is more my thing, and you want to jump to math, or maybe you want to go to counseling and still be within the realm of education. There's so many different pieces that make up education, and maybe what you're trying might not be the best, but or maybe it is. Who knows? Maybe you just have to do it a couple more years, and you're like, now I got the curriculum down, like I got it all memorized. I'm good.
We are making a practice as we come to the last parts of our prepared questions of dreaming, future, and world building. So, what is your dream of or dream for the future of our education systems? And so adding on to that, like where do veterans turned educators fit into that dream? It's for both of you all.
Go ahead, Wendy.
Okay, I could go. Um, I think my dream is just center students, center their needs, listen to students. That was one of the biggest things I've learned is students know what they want to learn. Help them get there. Student voice, student choice, and ideally, I would love to see a public education system that is um, that disrupts systems of oppression that exist within the system, and really work on just those healing practices for students and really promoting that place of healing and learning.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you both like for that. It's so such great advice, and I'm glad to like hear what your dreams are of the future of our education system. So again, thank you so much for your time and your willingness to show up in this capacity. This ends our panel discussion portion of our webinar. And so still want to remind our folks that there is space for questions and reflections. For those in attendance, please drop them into the Q&A feature, and we'll facilitate those out loud to our panelists. Let's see. With that, let me go ahead and reshare my screen. All right. So to all of our participants, thank you all for showing up to this event and engaging with us. On the screen, you will see ways to stay connected via various social media platforms, and you can also navigate via the QR code to our one-on-one coaching page. As a reminder, if you live in Colorado, Connecticut, Dallas, Houston, Minnesota, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, San Antonio, and South Carolina, we have many resources for you. Log into your account with us to access scholarships, fee reimbursements, information on becoming a teacher, free advising in English and Spanish, and more. If you're in a different state, we'll do our best to support you on your journey to the classroom as well. And this brings us to the conclusion of our time together today. I'll now set aside a few minutes to allow us some time to fill out our post-event survey. Thank you again, and we will see you next time. Okay, here we have one of our questions here. It says, could you please talk about the CT ARC program? And what if I already have a master's degree and not necessarily in education?
Yeah, Mario, that's a great question. Thank you. So the CTARC, the Alternative Route to Certification, is a program that we have for postgraduate candidates who are seeking certification only. So it really depends on which credentials you currently have, and it's really on a case-by-case basis. So I would encourage you to just email me and we can talk further about connecting with the certification office and seeing, what exactly you would need to take. There will likely be some education related courses for you to take for certification. So I would encourage you to email me and then we'll make a plan from there. That's a great question.
Have another one here that says, I'm interested in becoming a teacher in higher education, excuse me, in higher administration positions, like vice principal and principal. Upon leaving the military, do you recommend alternative certification programs that get you to teacher certification and master's degree? I currently hold a bachelor's degree in history. Is it worth the money and time on the front end? Or do you recommend doing this maybe after a few years of teaching?
I can jump in there and talk specifically about Connecticut. To obtain your certification for administration, you'll need experience teaching first. Um, so I would just kind of recommend that if you are interested in becoming a principal to, pursue certification to teaching. I think the requirement is 5 years first before you can apply for your administrator certification. Wendy, I don't know if it's different in Colorado.
I have never looked into being a principal or vice principal, so I'm not too sure about that.
Awesome. Those are great response there. Just checking to see if there are any more. Um, since I already have a bachelor's degree in nursing, if I am seeking a certification only, do I need I need to first find a job or an alternative program?
I can jump in there. So similarly, you'll likely need to take some additional courses for your education certification. But once the certification office reviews your transcripts, they'll be able to let you know, which educator pathway would be best suited for you.
Mm, that's good. Thank you. I have another one here that says, I exhausted GI Bill and VRE options. Wondering if there was any specific veteran scholarships that you may know about currently applying to the ALP in Colorado Springs.
I don't know of any um, scholarship opportunities, but does teach, you all offer some sort of
Yeah,
reimbursement, right?
I guess I could step in and say, like, I would encourage you to explore our financial aid and teach scholarship page. We do have a list of local and national like scholarships for you to explore. So I would say like start there and see if you can connect with one of our coaches to help you figure out like how to navigate those scholarships and or if there are others that are available. We have a question that says, I am a veteran in the United States Coast Guard. I learned, among many things, honor, respect, and devotion that I bring to the classroom. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Checking to see if there are any more. Fantastic.
Can can I address one of the questions in
Sure,
there?
sure, go ahead.
Um, we got asked a question about troops to teacher. I was told at one point that I could use my military time and service toward my teaching credentials in retirement. Does that make sense? I know that myself when I served in the Air Force, I did get some um, college credit, right? And I was able to actually apply that towards my degrees. And so maybe there is a way that it can be applied to a teaching credential. It might have to depend on where you're teaching the state and the program. Saying teaching credential makes me kind of think more of like California, and I know they're a little more strict on their teaching credentials as opposed to Colorado, which had the alternative licensure program. So I would say look at your state, but I do know like our our time and service does transfer into college credits.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Someone just says, thank you for this webinar. You literally answered all of my questions early in the sessions regarding the Troops for Teacher program. So great. Thank you for that. Um, I don't see any more questions here. So again, I just want to say thank you to you, Wendy, and thank you to you, Ashley, for sharing with us today and giving your knowledge. Are there any final thoughts that you want to like leave us with like today as we prepare to transition off?
I would like to just say, if you do have any questions at all, or you're not sure and you want to talk through it with someone, first explore the coaching opportunities that are provided through Teach. Those coaches have the experience and the background that you will likely be, going through. If there are specific questions related to certification or taking those first steps in determining which education preparation provider would be beneficial to you, let me know. I'd be happy to talk you through it. And as always, if I don't have the answer, I can probably find someone who does.
And I just want to say thank you all so much. I hope you decide to pursue a career in education. I really don't think you would ever regret the time you devote to students. So hopefully, I'll see you all sometime soon.
Yes, yes. And speaking of coaching, I want to just reference our coaching opportunity again here. So on your screen, you'll see ways to connect with us on social media platforms, and you can also navigate the QR code to do or to sign up for free one-on-one coaching. Again, if you live in Colorado, Connecticut, Dallas, Houston, Minnesota, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, San Antonio, and South Carolina. We have many resources for you. Just log into your account and you can have access to scholarships, fee reimbursements, information on becoming a teacher, free advising in English and Spanish, and more. And if you're in a different state, we'll do our best to continue to support you in your journey to the classroom there. And then, as a final reminder, again, that we will set aside some time to allow you to fill out our post-event survey. And remember that filling out and completing your survey enters you into a chance to win $200. So make sure that you don't miss out on that opportunity. Thank you again for joining us, and we encourage you to fill out your post-event survey before leaving your seat while your experience and your thoughts are fresh and top of mind. You are welcome to visit the survey via a smart device while also following this QR code, or when the webinar ends, your browser will automatically open to our feedback survey. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.